morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. We have made it to Curacao. Here you see kind of a little glimmer and look from the balcony. Still not 100% sure what we're going to do. As you can see, people are already starting to make their way off the ship.
That one leaves at 9.
It leaves at 9. We're not going to make that. Yeah, we're looking at doing a cave tour and everything. We can go and see if there's extra times on it, is all I can think of. But yeah, let's see how this thing goes. I don't even know if the kids are awake yet, but we're here, and if anything, I'll bring you guys along and record here and there. But we're in Curacao. We're going to try to enjoy our time. Let's check out this adventure.
Did you record that? Well, somebody said to me ship time is different, but you're at the same time. Well, we will be back at 1:30, so you might want to hop into the city center in order to take that picture alongside the floating bridge, or maybe walk to the Amsterdam houses. How can you do that? From your pier, you can walk to the first pier. So you just take the path here on your right-hand side. You see the people walking. And here on the first pier, where there is also a cruise ship, you see the white tents. Underneath the white tents are some shops. If you want to do some souvenir shopping from local souvenirs, you can do it over here. But you can also keep on walking. And then you walk alongside the ocean in front of those little shops where you can still do some shopping, and then you're about to walk out of the premises of the Tula Pier and Mega Pier. You see those yellow benches over here on the right hand side? That is where there is normally a little golf cart, and the golf cart drives from here up to the beginning of your pier and back free of charge. So in case you don't want to walk and you want to save those 10 minutes for walking into the city center, just wait there for the little golf cart. They drive up and down all day long, and they bring you to the beginning of the Mega Pier. So that saves you a walk into the city center and coming back. Now, when you walk out of the Mega Pier, because that's as far as the golf cart goes, you see a path alongside the ocean, you see people walking, and halfway you turn to the left. Then over here you can make a right turn, and then you walk in front of the Renaissance Hotel, because the building that you're seeing over here is the Renaissance Hotel. You can also decide to keep on walking straight, and then you walk a little bit more in the shade alongside the Renaissance Hotel, and then all of a sudden you will see something you all know, because you pass by there when you're back at home, when you're on the way to your work, and you make your first stop there. Where is that? At the Starbucks. How did I guess? So over here, Joël, by Coca-Cola, stop Aki. So over here you see the Starbucks, but before the Starbucks you need to turn to the right. You see shops on the right, shops on the left, and when you look to the end, you see very old walls. Do you all see that?
Yes.
Those walls are the walls of an old fort. We've got altogether 4 forts in the city center. This is the fortress which we call the Refort. And the Refort is the one you need to walk through in order to get to the heart of the capital. So you're walking through the Refort. What do you see in the Refort? There are some nice places to hang out, sip a drink, eat a bite. You can do some shopping over there. There is a Delft Blue store, etc. But if you don't do that, within 5 minutes you're on the other side. And once you walk out, you are in the heart of the capital right away. And the name of the capital of the island of Curacao is Willemstad. Willemstad is a very Dutch name. It actually means the city of William. But the question is, William who? William of Orange II, who used to rule here in the Dutch colonial past. And when you are in the heart of the capital, in Willemstad, right away, when you walk out of the Refort, you see the harbor entrance being the St. Anna Bay, you will see the famous floating bridge, you will see the Amsterdam houses on the other side, and you can walk within 5 minutes towards the bridge, so it's all very close. But we're going to see it the moment we will be passing over the high bridge after the tour at the Hato Caves. Now on the right hand side you see very old buildings, even a little church and a chapel here at front, and next to that you see brand new buildings. And maybe you say, what is it? Well, the old buildings were the main hospital of Curacao. In the past, that was our most important hospital. We have 3 in total, and it was called the St. Elizabeth Hospital. But right now, here on the right-hand side, you see the Curacao Medical Center. This is our brand new hospital. Why not use the old hospital anymore? Well, you have to imagine, you saw those buildings, very old buildings. Those buildings were not originally built as being a hospital. So what do you get when you start growing? The alleys are too narrow, the departments are too small. Where are you going to? So it's really going to be a mess at the end. And it was a truly old building. So the government said, what are we going to do? Are we really going to renovate those old buildings for millions and millions of dollars, and then still it's old and narrow and not big enough? Or are we going to build a brand new hospital? So they decided the last option, and that's why we now have a super modern new hospital since 2 years, and it is according to modern standards and demands. Then we do have 2 smaller hospitals on the other side of the high bridge, and of course nobody wants to end up in a hospital. But still, when you do, you better have a hospital with sea view, because that's what you're having right over here. So once you're in, you can enjoy the Caribbean Ocean and have a nice view. So we're very happy to have the hospital, and of course we have smaller islands that are surrounding us, and they at many times make use of our hospital because all the specialism is in the house over here. And as we continue, your ship has arrived from Aruba. Maybe some of you woke up early and were on the top deck or could see Curacao already from a distance. Did you see the pipes of the oil refinery? Didn't you wonder, we're parking the boat almost in the heart of the capital, and those oil pipes are also over there? Why do they build an oil refinery in the heart of the capital? And is there oil on Curacao? I do have a question for you. Do you think that we have oil on Curacao? Some people say yes, other people, I see them shaking no. Well, it is definitely a no. We don't have oil on Curacao. So now my next question, if we don't have oil, then why do we have an oil refinery on this island? Do you have any idea? Venezuela. Yeah, because the point is, when you go stand on your ship and you're facing the ocean and not Curacao, on a very bright and clear day, you might be able to see the coastline and the mountains of Venezuela. We are only 45 miles away from the mainland of Latin America. And there are 3 islands situated under the coast of Venezuela. Those islands are known as the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire and Curacao. They're sister islands, the brother islands. The brother and sister islands, how do you call it nowadays? And we know them as the Leeward Islands. And Leeward actually means under the wind. And what do I mean with under the wind? Under the wind means out of the hurricane belt. So when you look at the islands, they're a little bit in a comma shape in front of the Latin American coastline. Aruba is the closest to Latin America, to Venezuela. Then comes Curacao in the middle, and then comes Bonaire the furthest away. We are the only 3 islands in this part of the Caribbean that will never ever be hit by hurricanes. There are 3 islands here that are still connected to the Netherlands, more about that later on. And we have 3 other islands that are also still connected to the Netherlands. Those islands are called Saba, St. Eustatia and St. Martin. Those islands are known as the Windward Island. And what does that mean, windward? Windward means above the wind. That means in the hurricane belt. They are in the same ridge as where we find Cuba, Puerto Rico, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, St. Kitts, St. Barnes, St. Nevis, all those islands on the side that are every year at great risk when hurricanes come in the Caribbean. And it's the hurricane season in the Caribbean from the 1st of June till the end of October. So that means that in that period, It is the warmest time of year, and the hurricanes will for sure pass through the upper Caribbean area. That is also why in the summertime we receive less cruise ships, because the cruise ships don't look for the danger in the upper Caribbean. Sometimes there is one or two per week that come to the ABC Islands because we are not at risk, but still you need to sail through a part of the Caribbean that receives normally hurricanes. And then in the winter time, the cruise ship season is very important to Curacao because there are no hurricanes of any importance from the end of October till the end of May. That's why you're all still here. So now about the refinery. Why do we have a refinery when Venezuela is closed? Well, let me explain that to you. Round about the 1900s, Shell, the famous Dutch oil company from the Netherlands, back in Europe, they owned oil fields in Maracaibo. Maracaibo is a big city in Venezuela, but situated at a very shallow lake, the Lake of Maracaibo. And Shell said, you know what, we have those oil fields here, but we're not going to build a refinery because it is a shallow lake. Only small ships can enter, and that's not very economical. So let's look around in the Caribbean. And they looked around and they saw those 3 islands that were all Dutch colonies. And that was like a security, a certainty, I mean more safe. Latin America in those days was like an unknown part of the world. So they said, you know, we take the best island, Aruba is closest, but Curacao has something Aruba doesn't have. We have a very deep and very big natural harbor. So behind the St. Anna Bay, where the floating bridge is situated, on the other side of the high bridge, and we're going to see that later on, you will see our harbor. And the Schottengat Harbor is one of the 3 largest and deepest natural harbors in the world. The St. Anna Bay, the harbor entrance is over 60 feet deep, and the harbor at some points even 80 feet or more. Right now, on the right-hand side, for the people that didn't see it this morning, you already see the pipes of the oil refinery, and later on we will see it in full once we cross the high bridge. So Shell said Curacao is the best option because they have like a huge and deep natural harbor. They bought property as of 1910. They started building the refinery, and in 1916 the first part was ready, so they started up production. In 1925 the whole refinery was ready and we had full production, and in those days it was the #1 economy of Curacao. But what did we do? Small boats came in from Venezuela with crude oil, and they would bring it into our refinery. We would refine it over here, and big ships would come in over here because of the deepness of the harbor, and they would take away the oil to the countries that bought it or had contracts with Shell. The only problem was, in those days, we didn't even have sufficient inhabitants on Curacao that could work at Shell, especially the jobs in the middle and top management. So we needed to recruit people from all over the world. Many families emigrated to Curacao from the Netherlands, from other European countries, from Suriname, which is a country in South America, next to Venezuela, where it used to be a Dutch colony, and also from Venezuela itself. States, people that came here with their families, emigrating, starting up a new life, working at the Shell refinery, mainly in the middle management and top management. But also in those days, we didn't have sufficient homes for all the people to live over here. So Shell said, you know what, we're going to build 2 compounds especially for the high management families of Shell. And we were all very jealous because those compounds were of course beautiful. Gated community with huge lots, with tropical houses and Dutch elements. They all had a swimming pool. There was a central club area, there were tennis courts, another swimming pool, there were golf courses, etc. But for people that didn't work in that middle or high management, no entrance allowed, no houses for us. So when you look in a few moments on the left hand side, you see some roofs, blackish and reddish and orange. Those are the roofs of the former Shell compound houses. This residential area, what it is nowadays, is known as Julianadorp, the village of the former Queen Juliana. So this was one of the 2 Shell compounds. On the other side of the high bridge is another former Shell compound, which is called Emma Stad. the city of the former Queen Emma of the Netherlands. So they used to be Shell compounds in the period of Shell, and when Shell in 1985 left the island because they had other interests in the world, those areas became free for everybody. So we could rent and we could buy houses down there, and we were very happy, of course. But the point is that why did Shell leave Curacao? Well, in 1985 they sold their oil fields in Maracaibo. They said, we've got other interests in the world, we're going to sell it. And they sold it to a private company. And they said to the private company in Venezuela, we've got also a refinery for you. Would you like to have, or at least buy our refinery? And the company said, no, thank you very much. And then Shell came back. And they said, oh my goodness, what did we do? We sold the oil fields. But now we don't have work anymore for all those people that work at Shell because there is no oil coming in. And they started asking around over here, anybody, would you like to buy my refinery? But nobody said yes, me. And then they went to the government of Curacao and they said, dear government, would you like to buy our refinery? It's going to cost you only $1. And the government said, where can you buy a refinery for $1? So they paid $1 and they were drunk for a week, as happy as they were. And after a week they woke up and they said, oh my goodness, what did we do? We bought a refinery for $1, but we don't have oil, so still the same problem exists. And they went back to Venezuela and they said, listen guys, you need a refinery, we've got it. So if you don't want to buy, then rent it. And Venezuela said, okay, we will lease it. So there came a long lease contract, which ended in 2019. And now the company has been in state-owned hands already for a long time. You might know that the situation in Venezuela is not very flourishing, and the state took all the private companies, and they don't want to lease anymore. They don't want to reinvest, and they don't want to modernize the refinery because of all the climate problems in the world. So our government is right now looking into it, looking if we need a new owner or maybe a new destination. And as we are approaching the roundabout, you will see two pieces of art on this roundabout. First of all, it's a rusty Arc de Triomphe like in Paris. This one is a little smaller. We call it the gateway to the west. When you look through it, you see on the left-hand side the road leading us to the countryside, to the west side of Curacao, which is down over there. Just around the corner, where we're not going to, you see an iron iguana. Those two pieces of art are both made by the same artist, living here on the left-hand side on the mountain in a very funny house. This artist is called Yubikiri Ndongo, and he is known as the second-hand artist. He's wandering around in nature, taking rubbish home, making art out of second-hand materials only. People that have stuff in the house or in the yard which they don't use anymore and they want to throw it away, better bring it to Yubi. He will make art out of anything. So he's known as the artist that's cleaning up the island and making art out of second-hand materials only. And as we keep on driving, we're closing into the Hato caves, but we're first going to see on the left-hand side, when we're just over the hill, two things that are very important to Curacao. First of all, in front of you, you will see the Caribbean Ocean, the rough side, the northeast coast. So that means that there are no fancy hotels, there are no beaches, there are no private persons that want to live alongside this very rough ocean. So it's all natural. But there are two very important things to us over here. First of all, our small but international airport is here, and tourism is the economy number one on this island. That's where we're floating on. And second of all, we're going to see a FOL base. And what is FOL? FOL is Foreign Operations Location. It's US base. The US base is here to work together with the Dutch naval base that we have in our natural harbor. They're fighting against criminal activities in the Caribbean Ocean. Illegal activities, drug traffic, weapon traffic, human traffic from other Caribbean islands and Latin American countries towards our islands in order to move along to the United States and Europe. But they're also helping out people in danger at sea, ships in danger at sea. They will always be there with the Dutch naval base when whatever island is hit by hurricanes and they need help. In case of bringing in water, blankets, clothing, medication, cleaning up the islands, maintaining peace, etc. So here on the left hand side you see the full base, and you will see maybe the Coast Guard planes and the Coast Guard helicopters. There is one helicopter in, two helicopters, the rest is flying out, and they work together with the Coast Guard boats and the naval base. Next to that you see our small but international airport, Hato. Tourism is since very long already. It started up in the 1960s, 1970s. So tourism really started growing then. More planes came to Curacao, so it became more and more important. And nowadays this is our #1 economy. The runway is one after the longest in the Caribbean. Puerto Rico has the longest runway, and then comes Curacao. So the biggest planes in the world can enter over here. This is where you arrive, and this is where you depart. KLM, the Royal Dutch Airlines, comes in 7 days a week straight from Amsterdam in 9 hours. In high season even twice or 3 times per day. Charter companies from the Netherlands and from Belgium, the neighboring country, as well as American Airlines from the United States, JetBlue from New York, Air Canada Vacations from Canada, but also the major Latin American airlines like Copa from Panama, Avianca, Colombia, Suriname Airways from Suriname, and of course many companies that come from other Caribbean islands. So local Caribbean companies that fly in between the islands. So let's say that you're a Delta Airlines lover or a United Airlines lover, you can always fly to Aruba and then move along to Curacao. So you can reach Curacao from any part of the world. There is also a private plane airport where many private planes from the States and from Latin America and other Caribbean islands will arrive. And now we are closing into the Hato Caves. Let me tell you what we're going to do at the Hato Caves. Let me tell you what I'm going to do at the Hato Caves. I'm going to drink my second coffee of the day. And I leave you in the capable hands of the guide that takes you into the caves. First of all, as we're leaving the bus, you can leave personal belongings in the bus, but always take your valuables with you. Try to take the same seat back once you return to the bus, and we will be moving as a group into the premises of the Hato Caves. First of all, we will be waiting underneath a shady tree for the guide to escort us and bring you into the caves. Now you maybe think it will be very cold in the caves. It's not, because most of the caves are under the ground, and these caves are 43 steps up. So they're above ground, and you're going into different cave rooms, and you will see the beauty of our caves here on Curacao, and you will hear a lot of stories. Then, second of all, when you come back after 35-40 minutes, more or less, when you're downstairs, you're able to walk to the little restaurant and buy yourself a refreshment. Although the fact that I need to tell you that we're from the caves moving into the Mambo Beach area, where you will have time to spend on your own, being on a beach bed in the Caribbean Ocean, and there are restaurants and bars and shops, so you can entertain yourself and get something to drink and to eat down there as well. Next to the little restaurant are the restrooms, so you can also, when you come back, make use of the restrooms before we continue our tour. One more thing, we're going to wait underneath a shady tree. That shady tree is called a manzanilla or manzanilla tree. It's a poisonous tree. The tree contains little green apples. You also see them on the ground. Don't touch the apples, don't eat the apples. You're not going to die, but it will be the end of your tour. Second of all, when you're under the tree and it starts to rain, a heavy tropical rain showers as we get them over here, you should never ever hide under the trees, because the drops are thick, they fall from the leaves onto your skin. The leaves contain the poison. So don't be afraid of the tree, because we use them as shady trees. I mean, on the beaches and everywhere. Only when it's raining we're not under the tree, because you get the drops on your skin and then you will get blisters. They will stay with you for a week and they won't be your friends. So that's when you need to avoid the tree. So now let's take our stuff and move into the premises of the Hato Caves.
Emily on this side of the rocks.
What are we gonna do with our swimsuits?
Do what?
What are we gonna need? I think our swimsuits for.
When we go to the beach. So we're at the Hato Caves, and and we're gonna check this stuff
I
out.
should have brought my phone so I could record it.
I'm going to take Mom. I'm going to take Mom to the restroom. So if you would like to stay on the left-hand side, give my regards to the beds.
Poisonous tree. Oh, there's turtles.
Turtles.
Or as Hayden says, Birtles. Or what did he say?
I want to be too clean.
What does Hayden say?
Yes. Would you like some? Yes. Would you like some?
So there's 1, 2, 3,
Four.
4 turtles that I can see inside of here.
Oh, I see 5.
No, there is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I found 6. 1, 2,
Where'd you get
4,
6?
5, 6. Yeah, I got 6.
Oh, there is, because I see another one right there. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All right. Okay, guys. Hello, guys. My name is Kai. Before we climb the 49 steps up, yes, 49s, there are a few rules you'll need to remember. Okay, rule number 1, don't touch anything. Number 2, stay on the path. Number 3, no smoking. Number 4, don't throw coins in water reservoirs. Number 5, don't take anything out of the cave with you. And number 6, pictures. Can you take pictures? Yes, you can. However, not everywhere. There's only one place where you can take pictures, okay? So there's only one place in the entire cave where you guys can take pictures, okay? So throughout the cave, do not take any pictures unless I say so. Okay, guys? As you guys can see, I have a friendly face. I'm not gonna bite, so don't worry. Okay, guys? Now, the cave. We can't take pictures because it's a commercial cave. Okay, you can say it's copyrighted. All right. And remember, guys, I'm just the messenger. I'm not the rule maker. Okay. Now, guys, the cave sometimes it can get low. Sometimes there are steps. The parts that can get low can get sharp and pointy. So be careful. Okay. You don't want to bump your head onto anything. All right. We do have bats in this cave, but don't worry, guys. They're friendly. They're not gonna do anything. Okay, unless you take pictures, of course. Okay. Are you guys ready? Yes. Let's go.
Oh, there you have it. No recording inside the cave.
Jabba the Hutt. Oh. I have no idea who Jabba the Hutt is, though. Star Wars? Oh, yes. I only know 2 buttons. I'm really sorry, guys. And, Grogu. Baby Yoda. Grogu. Yep. You know, I really tried starting to watch the franchise, but I don't know. It didn't click. It's a full-time job. It didn't click as the Marvel Cinematic. Guys, I have a tip for you guys. If you guys use your smartphone, Apple, Android, if you guys use panorama on your smartphone, instead of making a horizontal panorama, you guys tilt your phone down and make a vertical panorama. Okay? That way you'll get the full cave from bottom to the top in one compressed picture. Okay?
There's bats flying around down there.
Remember, do not take it.
You see that one? And the bull is standing on top of the other one just to get its food.
There are no smoking areas here. You can only smoke up there. So if you're not in need of the restrooms or anything else, we're just moving slowly back to the bus.
There you go.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you about how the caves went. So it was actually really fun. We saw bats and chocolate ice cream on me and or anyone. So first we saw like some
Stalagmites.
slime mites and some like
Limestone.
limestone. And then we went to like
What was the water?
it was a water, and we saw that like some piece of water got like how would I say, like frozen, and they don't grow anymore. But then on the other side we saw
More stalagmite.
slimite, more slimite, and then we went to I think the Bats Cave or the Bats Chamber,
Bat chamber.
and we saw bats, and the guy warned us saying do not be loud, do not like, if you're like looking up with your mouth open and you have like chocolate ice cream bills on you, you don't want to eat that, do you? But he also said if you get like something cold, like water, be nothing warm, that you're going to be lucky, and that's just water. Then we went to like the window chamber or something like that. So we went to the window chamber, and we get to look up and finally take pictures, which is good. Which, yeah. So, yeah. What are you trying to do?
Just keep talking.
So, and then we went to where we saw like a giraffe, and or
There's a horse's head.
it was a
Horse
horse
body.
head, horse body, and then when you look up to go back to the head, it was like a giraffe. So the
Tour guide.
what?
Tour guide.
The tour guide said it was called a horse.
Giraffe.
Giraffe?
Or your horse.
A Jahorse or a Jahorse. Yeah? That's so pretty. Anyways, so then we saw a mushroom or jellyfish, and then we saw Elsa's gems or something like that. And then we also saw a giant with very long hair, longer than this. Okay. And then we went back to the chamber of the bats to get back out here, and now we're back at the
Tour bus.
the tour bus.